I'm Dan, the business office guy that you saw this morning. I'm going to moderate this group. We're going to talk now about that Express card. We'll dive into that a lot more. Some of you came up at the info fair and talked to me and explained it. I know there's probably some confusion on how that works, so I'll make sure I explain that to you fully. We're also going to have Stephen Griffin from the campus stores and our bookstore. We refer to it as a campus store, so the Tommy Shop, the bookstore. He's going to talk about buying books, the different options you have, different things on campus that are available to students. Kathy St. Mary is going to talk about health services and health service charges. These are things that can impact the bill and how we operate with that, some of the services that are available to your students for their healthcare needs. And then Jeff Schmidt, our financial aid counselor that you heard this morning, he will be available to talk about any financial aid questions you have, FAFSA. I won't steal your thunder about what we have going on right now.
I don't have any thunder.
Yeah, pretty much there. So I'll jump right in now talking about that Express card and their ID card, what the students have. Now, they're all going to get their ID card today. In fact, they're over there now getting them. And it's going to be in this little cell phone wallet holder. It sticks right to your cell phone. And it has the Express card address on there, the web address, so that you know where to go if you want to add money to the card. Now, as we mentioned in the previous, Brian Helmanek talked about it, they have their card to get into their dorm room. They have it to get into the Anderson Athletic Center. It's one card. It's your ID card. I have mine as well as a staff member. Faculty carry them as well. We use them to get into offices if you get a job. If they get a job on campus as a secured office, they'll have to use it to swipe to get in. Laundry, any sporting event, things like that. So they're always going to have that card with them. And we're hoping this thing might be helpful to have it right attached to their cell phone because they always have these with them too. Sometimes to the detriment of them, but at any rate, you always have that card with you. Their meal plans will be loaded on here, and those flex dollars. I want to touch back on that here. The flex is tied to the meal plan. When they go to get a meal or they use it at any dining service location, if it's a meal where they sit down at one of the main CAFs, as we call them, they will use a meal, an actual meal from their plan, 150, 180, whatever. If they go to an a la carte location, it's not going to use a meal. It's going to look for that flex dollars first and use those up. So the students will be using those as they go on campus. The machines are targeted to take that money first and use those resources first because those are the ones that you either use it or lose it. So all the meal plans are all on there. It's set up that way, and that's it. When we get into the Express card, that's where the students have two options of loading that same ID with funds, whether they want to charge it to their student account, and then it becomes an extension of credit subject to a 1.1% finance charge if it's not paid by the next due date. There's no bonus in doing that. It's really good in some ways when students are on their own. I know I talked to one mother who said, I'm leaving to go out of town. I'm going to be gone for a month. This is my last kid going to school, and I'm taking off. We're going to enjoy a little getaway here. And then we'll come back and deal with the ramifications. But she's going to be on her own. What can she do? I said, well, you might want to load that card. Again, she can charge a student account and take care of it, or the other option is when you're on that website, instead of choosing charge the student account, click on make a payment and add the money to it. And then you're using your credit card and you're putting money on there and you get a 5% bonus. So again, if it's $100 that you put on the card, we're going to charge you $1.50. Seaboard, the group that we use to facilitate this, charges $1.50 for that transaction. So if you put $200 on, you get $10, you come out ahead. Well, you come out ahead no matter what, but that's how it works. That's what you do. And then the Express dollars are loaded on there, and let's say they don't use them for the fall semester. Unlike Flex or a meal plan, those funds are still good. The Express will stay on. And they'll even carry over to the next year, and we have quite a few students who do that. They might have some extra money left at the end of the year. It's still good the next year when they show up in the fall. They can use these off campus as well. There's a number of vendors that are in partnership with the university to allow the students to go to Widmer's grocery store, which is a few blocks off campus. They might want to go to Trotter's Cafe and have a cup of coffee just to get off campus. Or to Bonnie's. They decided they're tired of the meal plan, they want to have a different sandwich or something. So there are vendors that will, and there's a list of them at the card office website so they'll know where they can go and where they can't, what they can use it for. That's the big difference between the two. You know, those Flex are just on campus and they're tied to the meal plan semester by semester, and Express is kind of an all-encompassing preloaded debit card where they can go and, a stored value card is probably a better way to refer to it. I know one question that comes up that I'll try to address is, what happens if you look at your student account and you realize your student went and added $100 each week for the first 4 weeks of the semester? Well, what are you up to there, Johnny? And they don't want to talk to you about it, because sometimes students will be independent, not realizing that this isn't magic money, this isn't a magic card, it has to go somewhere. We do monitor the card use, but we don't put holds on activity until we see it go past due. So if we encounter that situation, again, we're part of this learning experience. The kids are going to have access to credit cards, access to all kinds of stuff. I'm a parent, I'm deathly afraid of this. My kids are little yet, so I don't have to sit where you are thinking about what they're going to do when they get there. But if you are having a problem or your student's behaving like that and you say, I don't like this, and the student's not listening, what I recommend to all parents to do is that first e-bill due date is there. If you see express card dollars are due, say you owe $2,000 and $400 was express because they put $100 on each week and are just having a great time. Don't pay that minimum payment that's due, pay it short. Leave a few $100s off of it. We'll put a hold on that account, the express card use stops, and then send your student into us. Not that you can't handle the conversation, but if they're not responding to you, that's what I try to advise parents to do. We have no problem having difficult conversations. That's part of what we do here. We're not just business officers. We want to try to help the students understand how to handle money, how to handle credit. Use your head. And if they screw up and spend $400, that's the biggest mistake they make in their life, but they finally realize, oh, wow, this isn't just magic money. My parents aren't just going to keep cutting checks. Great time to have a conversation. We can maybe help your student grow in that life skill that we know they're going to need. So, but we really only catch the real abusive situations where people are trying to add hundreds of dollars at a time each day. Well, then we're flagging them. But if a student's using, $50 a week, we have quite a few students that can go through that. All of us know how far a grocery bill goes. But that's how I would advise you as parents if you encounter a difficulty with your student and they're not willing to respond. Just don't pay the bill all the way and we'll put the hold on and start talking to them, and that'll usually brings things to a head. So, what questions do you have for me on the Express versus Flex, or, sir?
Yeah, said that you can add money by putting it on your card, my credit card.
Correct.
Does my credit card company consider that a cash advance on which I get charged
The interest starts right away.
the date of the cash advance, or is it a regular charge like if I buy something at Macy's or Walmart?
That's card by card. I would ask the credit card company just to say, if I do this and load a card for my student and put that on there, what do you consider that? Do you consider that? Because I don't know. All cards will differ to some degree. So I don't want to give you bad info. Sir?
So Express is like a prepaid debit card, is that right?
Yep, you're loading a stored value card.
So if I wanted to use my books and I don't know how much I need to put on there, will you use it to just charge it to the student account, or is there a different process of charging books?
If they're standing in line at the bookstore, and Stephen will be able to speak to this, it's right on their phones. There's an app for it. They can just go into the website and they can just add the money right on the spot. So if they're in a pinch and they say, I don't have a credit card on me, I'm not sure how to get this, but I'm in line and I need to buy this book, charge the extra $50 or $40 or $70 to the card, to the account. It's not that big of it's a real easy transaction for them to do. They used to have to fill out a paper form and run up and down the stairs. So they'd run down to the bookstore and then they'd run up to the card office and go back down. This eliminates a lot of running around. Good exercise for them, but sir? They could use that too. No. Nope. Credit cards and debit cards, all the major ones are accepted on campus at all the venues. So this is merely one way that some students choose just to have a card. One card that gets them all around campus and to some off-campus stuff. So they're kind of centralized. They don't have to carry a bunch of cards around. Minimizes some issues with misuse of other types of credit and or fraud or theft or anything like that. Sir? Yes, each time they swipe at an on-campus eatery, they will be able to find out right on the spot what they have left. And they can also check with the card office, and they get a monthly report of their usage. So if you were really concerned about how your student's using that Express money, you could ask them, hey, why don't you send me that monthly report that they emailed out to you, and just go ahead and forward that to me. Let's see what you're doing with that Express card money. That's another check that you have. And again, if the student says, I don't know anything about that, well, then you might want to wonder what they're up to with their Express card. Again, those little tip-offs. If a student loses their card or has it stolen, as I said this morning, they need to go right to the card office or to camp or public safety and let them know so they can deactivate the card. They can get a new card right away. There's a $15 charge because we have to shut down all those access on there and then reset it up. But the minute they say it's gone, we'll deactivate it, and then there's no risk to them of somebody taking the card and running off to a vending machine or whatever, just using the money that they've put on there. And they usually will know right away because they need it for just about everything. So, sir?
Yeah, I guess I'm still not clear. Where are they loading this card from? Credit card or just their student account?
Online. So they go online to a website, Seaboard, it's at the bottom. You'll see it on this sleeve. It's also on the card office website. And the question is, how do they load this money? Where does it go to specifically? Or where does it come from? It comes from your credit card if you choose to preload it. So you pay the money onto the card. So that's from your credit card. Or they say, I want to charge my student account. And then it just shows up as as part of the bill, as one individual line item on the bill. And you would see it say Express Card $50. And that's how you'd see it on the bill, broken down as a line item. Sir?
Question on the meal plan. Is the semester 15 weeks? So is the low, or is it 12 weeks or 14 weeks? Because the lowest is what, 150 meals per semester?
With the flex money.
15-week semester?
Well, we got 16. Starts first week in September, ends the third week in December. What do we got there? 3, 12, 15. Yeah, with finals week included.
I think it's 16 with
15, 16 weeks, with finals week because they're usually eating.
2 meals a day from Monday through Friday, basically?
Yep, yeah. That's how they're allocating it. And students won't always eat 2 meals a day. You'll find out when they go to the buffet and hammer the buffet, they might not want to eat again for a long time. And there's quite a bit up there. I know when I go there, I overeat, as I have an employee meal plan. I don't go there that often because it's dangerous, but when you can pick from the Chinese stir fry and then you head over to the Italian booth and then you go over to the brick oven pizza thing and then, oh, there's a burger, you're liable to have some stuff that you don't need. If it's at one of the main eateries where you check in, yes. If it's at the caf, yep. If it's, oh yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. The question was if a student goes in and eats 6 different buffet items, yes, it's a meal. If a student goes into the cafeteria and sits down and has a bowl of cereal and a bagel, if they've checked in the morning during the mealtime, it's a meal. So that is up to the student to decide what they're going to eat, how they're going to do it. But with class schedules being what they are, that's where the flex money is very convenient because they might not have time to sit down and have a large meal at one given time, so they're just going to grab a burger or a chicken sandwich or a small bowl of something. Then maybe they want to go to one of the a la carte places and use their flex dollar and spend a very small amount and then go sit down and have the meal.
Keep in mind also that they may also have food in their dorm room as well too. There's fridges and microwaves and stuff like that. So when I was a student, I needed that extra 4 minutes to sleep before I went to class in the morning. So I would just grab, a granola bar and a glass of juice and that was in my dorm room. So I usually recommend students to start with a lower meal plan when we're talking about this and I'm doing estimates because if you run out of meals, you can always purchase more. But if you have meals left over, they don't carry over to the next semester. Granted, you guys know better than I do how your kids eat. Most 17, 18-year-old boys eat like horses. I remember that. So, but at the same time, block 150 or 180 usually is what I would recommend, just because, as I said, you have the flex dollars, plus you likely have food in your dorm room as well too.
A meal is a meal. If they sit down at the caf and they check in and they go sit down and eat and they end up eating just a hot dog, that's a meal. So it's not like the a la cartes where it's a dollar value for dollar value. No, a meal is a meal. Yes, sir. Yep, so the question was, is a meal, or is breakfast cheaper than perhaps dinner versus lunch? No, they're each time they go in and sit down at the cafeteria and eat that meal, whatever it is, it's the cost of one meal on there. Yes. Nope, they can use the flex dollars or express or a credit card. Those are available there too as well. Yep, they charge a specific dollar amount. Ma'am?
Can you add meals at any time during the semester, or just have to be the semester?
Nope, you can add throughout the semester. The question was, how do you add the meals? Can you add them throughout the semester or not? You can add the meals you can't drop down. So if you choose a big plan, because your student's a healthy eater and they don't meet that, you can't drop after the first 2 weeks of the semester. You can add those through the card office. Yep. Not yet. That's coming, but I don't want to promise you something that, a date. Sir?
You mentioned the Express is kind of like a debit card, but you also mentioned it's a possibility of a credit card as well. Is that right? The Express part
It's,
is part of something else?
no, it's, in the credit function, it's when they charge their student account. So if they don't have $50 to put on the card and they say, I need it though, I need this book and I can't find my parents, I don't got any money, okay, fine. They charge it to their student account. That's how it operates, more like a credit extension.
So that's not part of the Express.
It is. The Express has the two functions, either preloading the card.
Is there a limit on how much they can spend?
The initial limit they have up front when they're getting books and things like that is $800. That's what, if they walk in and say, I want to put this money on there, 800 is the max they can put on. After that, it's pretty much as they use it. Do they want to put 50 on, 100? How do they want to do it? That's why I mentioned, if you think there's going to be an issue, first have the conversation with your student, I'm keeping an eye on this, and secondly, remember, be an authorized user. And secondly, if we do have an abuse issue or you're not happy with the way the student's using it, I can't stop them. I can't go in and say, you can't use that anymore, you're not allowed to, but I can if there's a past due amount. And we do all the time. Yep, up front we allow them to do 800. Well, they can continue to put additional on. Let's say they put 800 on and buy their books and spend $500, $600 of it and go in 2 weeks later and add 100. They can do that. We don't stop them from doing that. So that's why I'm bringing it up. Be very clear in your communication with your student what your expectations are of use of that card, just like you would with a credit card where they have a $1,000 limit. You want to have the limit is dictated by the month's activity. Meaning if you don't pay that bill, and I have parents who do, they'll pay the bill and then say, why is my student still putting express money on there? I don't know. I assume you were fine with their spending. It's listed right on their line item. You have that bill in your hand. If you're not happy with it, don't pay that portion. And I have parents who say, you just got your Christmas gift and your birthday gift because you spent $350 on that express thing and I didn't authorize it. So Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday. Talk to that Mr. Gallivan guy because you can't pass go, you can't collect $200. There's a hold on all your stuff. That's where we're able to try to help enforce that, but no, we don't have any other flag or, ma'am? No, we don't have a way to stop them. Again, as 18-year-olds, they have access to that card to use on campus, so we can't dictate to them, no. Again, the way to stop it is don't pay the bill. And that's usually how we do it. In the back, sir?
You said earlier that every $100 that you put on your Express card, you get how much?
5% bonus, so $5 for 100.
You pay tuition on your Express card.
No. Good question. We're back to that $800 upfront limit. We can't have you do the whole, but it's worth asking. Yeah. I'll have to get it for you, though. Yeah. Yeah, if I don't have it, no, we have that part's all in the policies and procedures, so go ahead.
If to have them put you on as an authorized person on there, does that take care of all of it, or do you have to have a separate thing for the flex card as well as the tuition payments and that, or is it just one?
The authorized user, the question is what does that authorized user thing cover? It encompasses access to viewing the bill, talking to us about the bill, about financial interactions. That's all tied to being an authorized user. So you could look at it and say, hey, I'm an authorized user. What's going on with this card? They got an express card. Where are they spending their money? What's going on? The students have control over the express part of it, but like I said, there's a report that they get every month. But that allows us to discuss these issues and get back to the point the gentleman made that, wait a minute, how do you flag these students down? Power of the purse. You have the ability to say, no, I agreed to pay for some things for you, but this is not part of it. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you go figure it out. And talk to that Mr. Peterson or Mr. Gallivan. They love to talk about stuff like that. Teachable moment. Sir?
Is the 1.1 interest charge at the time of the advance or at the time of the bill?
Nope. The 1.1% interest, how it's charged to all charges at St. Thomas, a lot like a credit card. It's analogous to that you can charge something, and until it gets that first billing cycle and goes through it, it's not going to be assessed a charge. So if they put express card dollars on after a billing cycle is completed, that new activity won't be assessed a finance charge till it's been billed out with a future due date. So a student could actually float that for quite a while if they time it right. It's not assessed the minute that you put the money in Express Card. We don't start the clock on 1.1% each due date after that. You have to be billed out for it. So you'll have a chance to see that charge and go, oh, yeah, all right, conversation time, if you do see it. Does that answer it? Okay. Ma'am?
Does the Express card, is there any way of using that to help them build up their credit?
No, it's not credit reported at St. Thomas. We do not. The only people that I credit report are delinquent accounts, those that have reached a write-off stage. And so when students are trying to build credit, it might behoove them, and this is a whole different conversation, but to have a credit card and utilize that credit and pay it down, but again, it's a different conversation for credit building and how to increase their credit score and strengthen it. But we do not credit report on the cards nor on their student accounts unless we have a severe default. I mean, a very severe. We're talking a multi-year default. And yeah, that's just a negative rate. It's not a positive rating. So, sir?
We've talked a few times about, you know, get the low meal plan, 150 or whatever, and then once kind of figure out what your students' eating habits are, it makes sense to go up to the 180. Do that. You just pay the delta then between the two plans to move from 150 to 180.
Yeah, during the semester, you'll just move up 20 meals at a time. There's blocks of 20 that are sold to increase
Yeah.
it. And then you can,
Yeah, if you start at 150 and you run out of meals, you do have an option at the semester to switch meal sessions, and then so whatever you're billed for, you're just billed for the semester for what block 150 costs. And then if you choose to move up to block 180, if it's the price difference is maybe a couple $100, maybe even $100 or so. So if you chose to move up to 180, your spring bill would reflect what the block 180 costs.
but it's at the end of the semester you'd do that. You'd make that switch. During the semester, if the student ran out of meals at the end of November and you wanted to add 20 more meals, you just buy a block of 20 more. It's just a charge, a line item charge. Yep. Somebody way in the back? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, is there any difference between an express card and a debit card as like what you can use them for? Are there things you can only use the express card that if they have a debit card, they wouldn't be able to use that?
Nope. So if they just want to use their debit card, you're more comfortable with that, tell them just use the debit card. Don't even use the express function in any way, shape, or form. Again, this is not mandatory the students use it. It's an option. So that's all I don't want to make it sound like they have to use this on campus. No, credit cards, debit cards are accepted all over. And again, if you have more questions in this session yet, or, oh, ma'am in the back.
So when you activate the card you're talking about, the express card, whatever, does that automatically go to the parent's responsibility, or is that like the student's
Nope.
responsibility?
Student's responsibility. This is the student's. If they go on and say, I want $100 on my express card, charge to my student account, because this is great. I'm going to go to Chipotle and eat 10 burritos, whatever. I mean, they can, and then sometimes we have to talk to them about that. But that is not your responsibility in any way, shape, or form. Even if you signed as a,
Come towards, they go onto their tuition billing statement?
onto their student account as a line item, a charge. So it's charged to their student account, and then the next e-bill, you'll see it there with the following 19th as the due date. Correct. That's how you can see it. Yep. All right, I'm taking up all the time here, so I'm going to defer to Steve and have him talk about the bookstore and the campus stores. If you have more questions, you can always just fire away later on in the session.
Thanks, Ann. Again, my name is Steve Griffin. I'm the director of campus stores. And we call it campus stores for the big reason is that we have multiple stores on the campuses. We have the one you saw downstairs, the Tommy Shop, and that mostly has clothing in it and gifts. We also have the bookstore, which also is over in Murray Herrick, right next to the athletic center. And that one there is really, I could use the terminology, is it's more a convenience store, retail store. We have, besides the books over there, we have the clothing, of course. Gifts, we also have things like aspirin, cough syrup. We have things for the iPads, iPods, if you're your charger, or we need batteries. Notebooks, pens, pencils, all that normal stuff they would need, or the students would need on campus, they could stop over there and pick it up here right on campus. We also have the books, and a couple different ways of books that I'm looking at is that obviously you can buy the new books or the used books, or one of the more popular trends that's out there right now is renting the books, and that's growing across all colleges.
Right now, we've grown. We're probably about, I think, about 400 titles right now that you can rent. And the big thing is the renting is kind of compared to the three. If you bought a new book for, say, like $65, that books as a used book would be about $45. As a rented book, it would be about $33. So it is the cheapest upfront cost for books. The one big thing about renting is that it is a contract that we have with the students. We need the books back after they're rented in good shape. If they're fell into a puddle of water or whatever in an unsaleable condition, they'll be buying those books. If we usually go about a week after the semester ends is when we have the books that need to come back to us and have the rentals returned back in, because we have to give them back to our publishers. And we give them emails, we send them emails, notifications, everything we can do to let them know these are the due dates, it's coming up, please stop in, drop your rental books off at that time. And if they don't return them back into us at that time, then the full charge of the book does go on their tuition bill, because the books have to be paid. And we do get every year students. I've just got a phone call a couple days ago, a student from the spring season. They want to know why these books were on their bill. And I'm like, well, we didn't return them back in. So like under the contract, you have to pay for the books. And that's the way that system works. We do make it easier for everybody, but we do have obligations that we have to make sure the students uphold also. The other great thing about getting books is obviously you can come to campus and order them. We usually say about after August 1st. If you live here in the Twin Cities, you can stop over and get them. Then most of our books, we've got about 60% of the books in right now. We're getting lots of books every single day. But after August 1st is always a good time to start looking at them. If you're in the Twin Cities, a couple weeks before move-in week, it's a good time to stop in. It is very busy down there, as you can attest, for move-in week. We have very, very long lines. The store is very full. So we have a couple different options you can look at. One, you can order them online, and we would just send them to your house, and you would get them all that way. Otherwise, we have a reservation system that we use. You can go online again, and you can order your books reservation, secure with a credit card. We will pick your books, put them in a box, and then we will take and have them in a separate room. So when your student comes to campus, they show their ID, they pick up their box of books. It'll have a note in there, any books that are not in yet, and they just leave and don't have to wait in line. It's it's very, very popular. It does, like I said, cost $5 to do that, but that's a great way to get your books and get out of there, help them have to wait in those long lines that we have during that move-in weekend. The other thing is, too, if you look at other things we do, is that if you do return books, which happens periodically, especially after the semester starts, we do have the receipt. We require a receipt for any book returns that we get. And it's just a way to make sure the books were purchased here and make sure we're monitoring that part of it. The other thing is, too, a little bit about the Tommy Shop downstairs. Some of you guys have visited. If not, you'll probably visit later. We have a lot of stuff on campus that we have Tuesdays is Tommy Tuesdays. A lot of people are on campus or wearing purple or gray at those times. I know everybody gets to campus here and really enjoys supporting this college. We have a lot of stuff going on with the football team, the basketball team, sporting events. So they have a lot of great stuff down there. They have things down there, the brand names from Under Armour, from Nike, from Puma, from a lot of different brands that we have that are very good quality. We have everything down there from clothing from the students. Also, we have kids' clothing. Colleen, who's my buyer down there, she has stuff for people's pets, for leashes and tags and stuff like that down there too. So there's a lot of stuff down there that we have. And the best way to hear about the deals we have going on down there or special promotions, we do sidewalk sales and all kinds of events throughout the season, is if they like us on Facebook. That is one of the best ways that we send out to people and say, hey, listen, come on down to the Tommy store, we have this deal going on. Or, we're going to clear out the fall merchandise, we're going to do a sidewalk sale in front of the Anderson Student Center. A lot of those kind of things to get some really good deals and what's going on in campus for those too. So it's a great way to keep focused on what's going on in the campus store. So right now, I'll turn it over to Kathy, and she'll talk about.
Hi, my name is Kathy St. Mary. I'm the billing and insurance specialist for Health Service. Our health service is located at the lower level of Brady Residence Hall. We're a full-service clinic, and we're open all week. Monday and Friday, we're open from 8 to 4:30, and Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're open from 8 to 6. We are open over the lunch hour and convo hour, so that's a good time for students. If they aren't feeling well, they can stop in, and a lot of times we have appointments open. We try to keep open for kind of acute care during that time so they can get right in. We're staffed by a variety of providers. We have an internal medicine doctor, several nurse practitioners, psychiatrists, physical therapists. We have a dietitian, and we also have massage therapy. We work closely with athletics and counseling and psychological services, along with the wellness center, to really work to keep students healthy. That's our primary goal. We function just like a regular clinic. So students come in, we get their insurance card. We don't collect copays at the time of service. We process the claim, and then anything that's not paid by the insurance, that's the patient's responsibility, is put on a student account. So that could be a charge you would see. It would say health service, and it might have a $30 charge if that's your copay. If you contact the business office about that, a lot of times they'll refer you to me. And because of HIPAA privacy policies, I'm pretty limited on what I can talk to you about concerning that. So there is a form on our website, an authorization to disclose healthcare information. You can have your student complete that and sign it and turn it into health service, and that way it's good for a year, and that allows us to share that information with you, because since they're over 18, they are protected under HIPAA, which protects their individual privacy for their health information. Some other charges that can show up would be if they picked up some prescriptions in our clinic. We don't carry prescriptions per se, but we carry antibiotics, some common medications students need, and we don't submit that to insurance. So we charge exactly what we're being charged by the pharmacy. So if a prescription is costing us $10 and they need that prescription, so say it's amoxicillin, they have the option of paying $10 and getting it right there in clinic, or we can phone it into their pharmacy. The $10 charge could be paid in cash or put on their student account. So that's another charge that could show up there. We do have a pharmacy that's located about 6 blocks away, Pro Pharmacy, well within walking distance, so that's always an option. We also sometimes have students that we have a large population that studies abroad here, so they may need some travel supplies. Bug spray, that kind of thing. They can purchase that in the clinic, and that would be put on their student account also. And we do offer an insurance plan. All full-time students are required to have health insurance. Sometimes people's insurance doesn't cover them here, especially if they're out of state, so that's an option for them, or if you don't have health insurance. If you do have your own health insurance, you need to enter that information on Murphy Online before mid-September to not be charged for health insurance. And your students have received an email on that, and I have a little information sheet too if somebody needs that on how you can get that done. Basically, if you have, again, a question about a charge on your student account, you're welcome to call and I'll help you any way I can, but if I don't have the signed authorization, I am sort of limited, so please be aware of that. I guess you can go ahead with Jeff here.
Hello again, it's Jeff Schmidt again. I just have a couple things just kind of let you know. Most of what we went over in the last session I've already spoke about, but a couple things that are coming up, or a couple questions that we have this time of year. Right now, we will be sending information to the students about entrance counseling and signing a master promissory note. So if you did file a FAFSA and were offered federal loans, the subsidized or unsubsidized loans, there are 2 actions that every student needs to do just once during in order to borrow those loans, for those loans to post to the account. Entrance counseling and signing the master promissory note both take about 20 to 25 minutes online. Entrance counseling really goes over what a loan is, interest rate, repayment, forbearance, kind of all the things, because likely this is the first time your children have borrowed a loan. So it's a tutorial that the the Department of Education requires that students do, and you just have to do that once. So that's one, and then the master promissory note, obviously promising to pay the loan back. So that information will be sent out to you. It's done online. If for some reason you don't receive that, reach out to us and we can easily get the website out to you. One other thing that we also kind of hear from time to time, you've heard me probably mention the FAFSA a few times, and I realize that maybe some of you don't know what a FAFSA is, so I'll just briefly kind of say that that is the free application for federal student aid. If you have not filed a FAFSA, that's okay. You certainly still can do that. The sooner the better if you want to take advantage of any sort of student loans. If you don't file a FAFSA, that's not going to impact any of your students' scholarships or anything like that. It's just looking at the need-based side from both the federal and state government. So that's sometimes a question we get, is it too late to file a FAFSA? No, you could still certainly do that if you'd like. If you need help filing a FAFSA, either for this year or future years, I think my record time is I can finish one in about 6 minutes. So I know some families have said it's taken them 2 hours. I said, just bring it in, I'll do it for you, I don't mind. That's an option for you as well too. I'm hired. I've got to do it anyway, so it's a free service for you. I mean, you think with the tuition things like that, it's the least we could do. So yeah, I'm happy to do it. I honestly am. I don't mind doing it for students. I actually kind of like doing it and everything like that. So that's kind of what we're doing. But everything else that I kind of went over in our session, I kind of listed off. So I won't spend a whole lot of time. But I think at this point, if you guys have any questions about anything that any of us do, I think we'll take questions now at this time, and so fire away. Go ahead.
About the books, are the only options paper books, or are any textbooks available on, an electronic version?
Yeah, we have, if the book the professors have selected and has an ebook, there will be an option to buy an ebook. Also, if you go online, you'll see both books up there, or if it's inside the store, it'll say inside the tag that ebook is available, and you can buy it that way. Yeah, as soon as they have their classes, those we'll get in the day, you'll be able to go online if you want to look online, or go over to the store. And in the store, it has tags by all the books. It tells you the class section, all the information there, and online it's actually you put the information in it, and it pops up. Here's the books you need for that class. Yes, we do. We do buy back books. We do a full buyback twice a year. We have a lot of our vendors that will come in and do their own small buybacks throughout the year. But we do, yes.
Did you say earlier that you had to have the receipt that you bought the book in order to sell it back to you?
No, for returning. If you're returning the books, if for some reason drop a class, something got changed, whatever, we need the receipt. But if you buy the books, buy back books, we don't require a receipt. We just ask for the ID. Yes, sir.
You had said that this morning that the 4-payment plan that you had, am I right in saying that was a 13% APR?
Yeah, it's 1.1% each month on the balance you carry. So the APR is 13.2, even though we most often don't have people pay for the entire year. They're done in the semester, or if one of the situations I mentioned that comes up where we have to extend the payment plan out, they might pay for 6 months on a balance. Again, we're trying to be as flexible as we can be to deal with different situations, but generally you're not paying for the entire year. The APR, though, is 13.2. So if you borrow that same amount of money from a lender at 2.5%, you're going to see that much less in interest for that annualized percentage. So, ma'am in the back corner.
What percentage of your professors actually know what books they're going to use, and do they really use them all?
I got to run away from that one.
So most of them, they know the books right now. I mean, we have a few professors that we're still trying to get books from, but I would say probably about 85, 90% of them, we already have the books, and now we're just in the process of buying the books and getting them here to ship to the school. The other thing is, for professors that use them, the people I've talked to, the students I've talked to, the professors are pretty good about the books. If they require the students to use them or get them, they use them. And just talking to some of my student workers, I've asked that question. They go, oh yeah, these books are, the professor wants us to use them, we're going to use them sometime. And now some of the students, like for example, English has tons, like I think there's 8, 9 books for some of the English courses that, we'll have the books there all fall season. So some kids will maybe buy the first, buy them when they get the syllabus the first day of class. Those kind of things to help save some money and spread the costs out a little bit. But yeah, the professors are pretty good about it. They want the students. They challenge us a lot on the books to make sure they try to keep the price down as much as they can for those kids.
I don't think this has been asked, but what's your general recommendation about students bringing a laptop computer to write their papers? Would they buy just personally in their hometown? Do you have any recommendations about the need for that and the way to do it?
Well, I think the simple answer to your question, I think most of the students that come, they bring a computer with them anymore. I see more students that have the laptop. There's a way on the St. Thomas website, you can go through, and Apple is connected to it. There's not really any good deals I know about through the university if you buy it through the university right now for the computers. But yes, most students I think have a laptop that they bring with them.
If you actually go through the IRT department on campus, on our main website, if you go to IRT for students, I believe there is a discount that'll actually prompt you if you want to buy an Apple product or a Dell product. You click on that link and it'll take you out to an Apple site and you'll see that St. Thomas provided, and it's like, I was looking at it and I think I could get like 10% off like an iPad or something like that. So you may want to check that. But at the same time, is it required? I graduated 10 years ago from here, and so times have changed a little bit, but I didn't have a computer, and there's plenty of computers on campus. So, but they're useful.
Do students tend to use computers to take notes in the courses where they need to take notes, or, I don't.
It's really going to vary from class to class. Some professors will provide through the Blackboard system, which is again one of the systems that you actually go into specific classes. They may provide the PowerPoints that they're using and just post that online. But otherwise, some are taking notes on just on regular notebooks. It really kind of varies, but I'm sure there are those that are also typing notes on a laptop. So it really varies.
IRT is the sub on your general website. IRT is the tab for information technology.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep, IRT is the tab. Yep.
Ma'am? Okay, so she mentioned that Best Buy has an incentive for college purchases. Yeah, and that's what Jeff's alluding to, is if you click on the icon on the IRT site, it takes you to Dell or Apple, but by going through that portal or that link, that's where they give you the discount. We don't do that in the bookstore per se, but the link is provided, so there could be a good deal to compare. Ma'am, in the back? Well, there's printers all over at the computer centers and the labs, and students get 400 pages per semester that they're allowed to print at any given spot. They're going to log in any computer on campus and interface with it, then we'll know. And IRT counts those pages. If they exceed that, that's another charge you might see. It's usually real small. And if the student prints 600 pages, they get charged a nickel per page or a few cents per page after that. And you'll see the line item charge for $23.40 or whatever. And it'll say printing charges, and that's tied to their use if they've exceeded the 400 pages they're allotted. Sir? Okay.
I'm interested in keeping this process as simple as possible for myself. I would like to, is it realistic to expect that whatever bill is sent to me from you, I can pay the entire thing out of the 529? Are there going to be things that will typically show up on the student's account that aren't qualified to be paid for the 529?
Yeah, no, just about anything you have on that student bill is going to be able to be deemed an educational expense, tuition fees, housing.
Using those express dollars to shop at the grocery store around here?
That's where you got to check your plan, your 529 to say what's permissible. Is it food? Would that be tied to it like a meal plan and then express use for food? Or is it for, let's say, for books or for anything incidental to it? Plans all vary. That's one thing. You have to go back to, I'm not punting here, you have to go back to your 529 to ask a lot of these real fine line questions, because we just accept the funds based on the bill we generate and you submit to the plan. The plan has to decide what they're willing to pay for, what qualifies underneath that plan. So a health service charge may not qualify, but that's up to the 529 to decide. If they're on campus and living on campus and going to a clinic, perhaps that would still qualify. I don't know. I don't want to give you bad advice. I want you to talk to your plan so you get that definitive answer. So you're not claiming an educational expense you can't claim. Sorry, I don't have a better answer, but I don't want you to get bad info either.
For Kathy, the health information, is that a HIPAA form separate at the clinic, or is that the authorization form that covers that?
That's a separate form that's on our website under forms. So if you go to health service under forms and the authorization disclose health information or to release health information, it looks like this. I have a couple up here if anyone wants one afterwards. But yeah, we're covered basically under HIPAA, so this is a separate form.
And you usually will get a statement of benefits. So I know I get these calls all the time saying, hey, wait, there's still $62 due on my student account. I'll say, yes, your student was at, I can say as much as if you're an authorized user, I'll say there was a health service visit on May 10th. What was that for? That's where we cross from FERPA, where you're authorized, to HIPAA, which is a different federal law that says, no, we can't talk about that. But you'll have that statement of benefits, which talks about the treatment that was received and what was paid and what was charged back to you. So that's another way to get that information through your insurance company.
Does that consent be electronically signed, or does that have to be physically signed and brought in?
Has to be physically signed by the student, and it can be faxed or emailed, but it has to be physically signed.
Ma'am?
Do they get receipts like for medications that they buy so that they claim our insurance policy? So we can get a credit back?
If they request them, we can print a receipt. We don't send out billing statements or receipts normally, but we can absolutely provide them if they just ask.
Sir?
If we're paying the student account quarterly when the bills come in, and we know tuition's gonna be there, but then there's some of these ancillary charges that we may or may not have knowledge of, are we expected to pay that full tuition plus whatever is presented in the bill?
Okay, so the question is, you get your first e-bill and you make a payment, and then your student gets a health service charge, and if they have a car, they get a parking citation. They're late for class and they park when they're not supposed to. Happens. So now you've got a $50 bill. We'll e-bill you those new charges, so you'll see the activity. Again, you're an authorized user. Make sure they make you an authorized user. And you'll get that notification, and you're more than likely going to go, wait, I paid this thing on September 19th, and it's October. Okay, let's take a look at this. And then you'll see the line item. It'll have a due date into the future, the next 19th after that. So it's, again, not due immediately. We're not assessing finance charges or jumping on you. There's no cash advance type thing that a credit card might get you for doing. It's billed out again to the next billing cycle, and you'll have time to digest it. And
So no services would be turned off if I pay less than, something I didn't know about, obviously.
correct, yes, sir. Yeah, the only thing that happens to a student if they don't pay that minimum amount due each month to complete paying off the bill in the requisite time frame, we just put holds on their records and registration and their express card usage. And that's usually enough to get the conversation started. But you'll know about charges because you'll get that e-bill notification. Any activity at all, even a refund, like let's say the student drops a class and suddenly it generates a credit balance, you'll get an e-bill notification because that's activity on the bill. So, sir?
I have a broad question about the 529 plans, based on what you mentioned this morning, that the 529 funds would go directly to the university. I was not aware of that. I thought that the individual owner, like a parent, would take a withdrawal from it, put it temporarily into their own bank account, and then write a check to the university. So am I a little bit confused, or?
Again, I would say check with your plan. Maybe your plan, we have state prepaid, there's what they call prepays, where we get, people will pay in for years, and then they'll have a certain defined benefit that they send to us, and we're just trading invoices with the states, and they're saying, it's not even a 529, it's a different kind of tuition assistance plan. So there's all these different plans. I don't know which one you're using, but you'd go back to your plan administrator and say, can you give me the check, because I'd like to handle that money, and they'll say yes or no. It'll be in their rules for how they disperse.
So you can show to your accountant that, that $8,000 or whatever was used for
Correct.
education for this person, as a son or daughter.
Yep.
Because then if you have it in your own bank account, write a check to the university, you can show your accountant saying that I'm proving that I used this for I withdrew this money from 529 and used it to pay for educational expenses.
Sure, but even your 529 should have a record of disbursements, and I don't know if they annually update you or give that for tax purposes or not, but you should be able to get that data as to what did you disperse to me. I'd like to see a history of it. That should not, I can't imagine any entity that deals with cash and benefits and not being able to provide that type of information to you. In fact, I'm sure they can't. They have to provide that information. I think we're running out of time. I see Sister Sharon flagging me to be quiet. So thank you for coming. If you have more questions, call us. We're around all the time.